Are we on? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Naveen, and today we're going to talk about why, or rather, why is it important to contribute to open source. So, initially, I actually decided to make some generic slides for you all, but then I decided against it. I mean, I thought it's going to be boring, and truthfully, I used to sleep off whenever there used to be any generic slides. So I thought it's better if I could explain to you the importance of open source, telling you a story, or rather my story actually, and then through this, both of us together will zero in on the importance on the reasons of why we need to contribute to open source. So before we go into it, I like to apologize for two things. One, for using my own story, and in doing so I may sound a little egoistical, but the only reason I'm doing it is because I am the most acquainted with it. And then the second reason would be for the crazy GIFs you're going to see. So let's get into it. So, for first, let me just tell you the definition of what open source is. For the uninitiated, what actually is open source software? So, here OSS stand for open source software. So, open source software could be actually defined as the ideal version of democracy in software world, where software is designed by the developers for the general public, and there is no hidden agenda in this. And the best part of this is you don't like any part of the software, just go change it and make it your own. And this is a privilege you don't get in any democracy, by the way. So, yep, that's said and done. So let's get on with the story. So initially, or not initially, basically, yep. I joined the college in the year 2016. And the only reason I chose to join CSE or computer science engineering was because I played games and I thought I am really good at computer science. So when I took the admission in the college, I joined with this false image or the expectations that I was super great at computers. But boy, oh boy, within the first week of college, the earth slid beneath my feet so fast and the reality hit me so hard that I understood that I am dumb. Literally, that I understood that I am dumb and I had no idea of programming and I've never programmed a single line. I was even confused about basic loops and no idea what a terminal was, and rather, I was surrounded by so many people who were talking about stuff that my brain couldn't even comprehend. So I had two options. Either I chose to fight or I jump into the chasm and loathe about my option of choosing computer science. I don't know why, but I chose to fight it. And so within few weeks or few semesters, I started learning new things, experimenting new things, failing a lot of times. But the major thing is, in all, I developed okay I developed a massive inferiority complex as well as a huge dip in my self-confidence. I'm sorry, could you see my screen? Okay, just a second, let me just share my screen. The problem of live. Okay, where is it? Present and share screen. Share screen. And here we are. Yep, sorry about that. Happens. Problem of having a live talk, I guess. So yep. So where was I? I was so I decided to fight, and then within few semesters, I tried started doing many new things, failing a lot of times, and then there were a lot of new opportunities which I tried out, but rather fail. And in doing so, I developed this massive inferiority complex, and there was a huge dip in my self confidence. And there was a huge void in myself, to be honest. So, around second year, I decided that I need to start looking out for internships because that's the best way to get real software development skills. So, I tried out for internships, but university soaks up all your time and the schedule is really tight in with you, and you really get at least like 2 weeks holidays after your semester. and there was no point in actually going and finding out an internship for 2 weeks because you'd rather learn nothing. So we needed something. I needed something that would allow me to work remotely without any time constraint, and also learn from the very best. Also, if possible, earn a little money on the hand. So I needed to find something of this kind, right, so that I can improve my programming skills. So one thing led to another, and then I stumbled across GSOC, which is nothing but Google Summer of Code. And then, yep, one thing led to another, and someone like a Google Summer of Code. And this is where the open source entered my life. It and the process of GSOC completely fit my description of what I wanted. The description was, it needed me to allow remotely, it should have no time constraints, and I should be able to learn from the best. Checking out the description of GSOC, it fit everything, right? So yep, okay. So GSOC fit everything, and also, to be honest, the pay was really good. Okay, I am admitting this. I'm not ashamed, or maybe I was, but money was my initial motivation when I wanted to do GSOC. But hey, no motivation is bad motivation, right? If it makes you a better person. So I decided to join GSOC. So for those who don't know what GSOC is, it's a Google Summer of Code. It's an internship in open source organization. So the process basically is, you join an open source organization, you solve the bugs, and you write a proposal which where you'll explain what kind of features you would like to implement in their organization. Organization is basically a software, if you want to keep it simple. So this GSOC had lots of rumors surrounding it, and when I was the student in college, there weren't many seniors who did GSOC, so it was complete mystery to me. Searching on Quora, on lots of other sites, only gave me this perception that GSOC is really hard, and only people who have lots of programming skills can even apply to it. So that literally stopped me. But then I said, why not? Like, what's the worst that was going to happen? Let me just go try it out, right? I have nothing else to do anyway. So I opened the GSOC page, searched for the organizations. I found this cute little org which had a cute image. Then I chose that organization majorly because it was also Python and the image was nice. So I joined. Once you join an organization, you need to introduce yourself to them, and the only medium you do that in open source is through chat channels, right? So I joined the chat channel, and there were lots of buzz going on in the channel, like people were messaging and everything, and there were so many rumors that when I wanted to type something and say hello, even I was literally scared that maybe they might kick me out because I have no skills. So I said, fish it. I'm just gonna type it and see what's gonna happen. So I typed my message and I sent it. Within minutes, I got a message welcoming me, followed by boom, boom, boom. Just so many messages from lots of strangers welcoming me to the organization. I mean, telling me hi and like just accepting me. This was the first time that anyone, I mean, for the love of cakes, this was the first time I felt so welcomed among a group of strangers that I just met. I mean, that's really something. And within, like, this is where I learned my first lesson uh, in open source. Like, the first lesson the open source taught me, that open source communities accept you for who you are, and no one judges you on the basis of your skill. I mean, literally that. I mean, until then, I always thought that people who did programming or people who made lots of big projects were all good, hire people with lots of great skills, and then I won't be ever be able to do a project of that level. But then this it's a simple thing, but for the people who were suffering through those phases can understand that getting welcomed by people who are strangers, who have no personal issues, who have no personal relation with you, and then accepting you for no matter what skill level is, that's something, I mean, that's really a welcoming phase. And then that was my first lesson in open source. As I talked about the process of GSOC, once you introduce yourself, the next process was to start solving issues, right? So I was assigned this first issue where I had to fix a little bug in the software, and the code base was humongous. It was somewhere around 50,000 lines of code, and I never coded that many lines. The maximum I coded was somewhere around, like, what's it, 250 lines, and that was a very simple project. This 50,000 lines of code, and I hear a newbie having no knowledge of, like, literally basic knowledge of Python had to solve it. So then again, my demons took over me, and they wanted me to just quit it, quit it, go back and live a normal life. But then I decided, let me just talk to the maintainer of the project. Maintainer is the person in open source who reviews your code and merges your code into the branch or into the code base. Okay. So I talked to the maintainer and told him my worries, and I basically ranted to him, telling that I don't have any skills, and how am I going to solve? Just give me the solution so I can go ahead. He firmly said no. He said he'll only give me pointers to finish the task, and he gave me this quote which I still remember. He said, "You can give a man a fish who is hungry, and he will eat for one day. But if you teach him to fish, he will learn to eat every day." And he said, Why are you feeling this way, Naveen? I mean, you are noob. That's true. Accept the truth. You are noob. But everyone in this channel who are trying to come up, right, are were in the same situation where you were. We're in the same position and we're in the same struggles where you were. The only reason they are in a place where they are is because they struggled and then did not give up. Remember that we need, like, we Rome wasn't built in a day, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So even you won't become a master software designer or software engineer within a day. You grow day by day. So he said, we are here to help you in each step, but you got to put in your own effort and figure out your own strategies. Else, you will never grow. And I must say, thankful to this, I was able, I mean, thanks to the single advice which I carry to this day, I learned that skill of I actually practiced the skill of reading code bases, and this helped me understanding how quickly I can understand a code base and skim through the code base and find out what I can find. I mean, like, okay, I'll just rephrase it. I did not come at good. So this skill of, instead of giving up and trying to dig into the code base, helped me learn the skill of reading code instead of just getting frightened, finding the major parts of the code and just blocking out the parts which are not necessary for me. This is really important skill if you get into software development, because once you get into software development, there'll be people who wrote different types of code with different ideologies, and you're supposed to understand it. You cannot just keep running back and finding people to help you. You are supposed to become self-sufficient. And this lesson taught me that people in OSS generally generally wants you to improve and are ready to help you 24/7, and they expect nothing in return. But all all they want is you to improve. Tell me, where do you actually find this kind of thing? I mean, you go to lots of tutorials, no, not tutorials, you go to lots of coaching centers and everywhere. All they want you to give money and they're going to teach you. But these people, these professionals, are trying to take time out of their busy schedule and teach you. That's really good, right? I mean, you don't, and that's true for free. You don't find this kind of attitude anywhere else other than open source softwares. So that was a lesson too. I also learned to accept help. Don't keep on sticking there. So the process continued, and I kept on solving various issues. As time went on, I started more and more complex issues. I'm going to be very honest with you. The first few months are really tough, but nothing awesome ever comes without some kind of friction, right? If there's no friction, how are you going to feel the pleasure? Okay, the slides, I don't know what's happening. I'm just going to share my screen again. This is odd. Bear with me. I hate it. Okay, here we are. That's bad. That's bad. And stop sharing square. Sorry about that. Okay, next slide. Next. Okay. Okay, here we are. Sorry about that. This happens a lot. I don't know why it's happening. It's weird. Okay, so let's see. Where was I? The process continued. Yep. Yes, I'll be really honest with you all. The first few months are literally tough, but nothing ever great ever comes if you find for things which are easy. There has to be some kind of friction, else you'll never enjoy the process. So as time went on, I started taking more and more issues, and in return, the actual development I saw was in my own personal self, where the self confidence started growing because I was able to solve more issues. Right, the self started growing, and then okay, and then during those first few months, right, I met many awesome friends, man, people who were all in the same boat as me. I seriously felt this. Okay, yep, okay, yep. I seriously felt this connection to them. I mean, I guess that was all because of all of us were connected to this some bigger goal of making the software which we believe to be better. So that's something I want you all to learn. You'll find people who are ready to help, and you'll find lifelong friends who I still talk to this day. And my skills started growing exponentially. My code was being reviewed by people who were the professionals for say 4 years, 20 years, and I started understanding their ideologies of writing code, or rather the better software design. I mean, anyone can write software if you have the skills, but to write the proper software you need to be an acquaintance, or you need to be an accomplice of a great person, or a person who can mentor you. So that what happened as the process continued. So I'm not going to say more about how it was, but let me just tell you how did open source software help me. So let me just take my points. I'll not take much time. The open source community majorly helped me get over my complexes. I don't think I would have gotten this if I had gone into a simpler internship, but it helped me get over my complexes and made me expand my horizon, and taught me to be humble. That I know I'm not great, but I can be great if I keep on fighting every day and keep on learning new things. It gave me many new friends and many mentors to talk about my professional and personal issues. My network grew drastically. To be honest, I know lots of people in different time zones of the world where I could talk them, where I could ping them any day and just learn many new things, or just talk like we just be friends, and my skill grew exponentially. It also gave me my first salary. It gave me my fully funded trip to France, and also an opportunity to be a speaker at an international conference. It also gave me the strength, or rather the confidence in myself, to take on two open source internships simultaneously and yet complete them successfully. And it's also the reason I have my kind of ideologies or philosophies, and also the reason why I chose to go after an open source job, and I did get an open source job, and the list goes on and on. But let's come back to the slide where I'll tell you how it could help you. Okay, it's a generic slide, but it's important to be told. Why? How will open source software help you? It the advantages of open source software, I will always be superset of what advantages it gave me, and it will be way more massive than the advantages gave me. See, you'll be able to, when you code more, you'll be learning more. You'll be learning the proper practices, you'll be learning the proper technologies, you'll be learning how you're supposed to structure your code, and so on and so forth. It'll help you build an outstanding portfolio. It actually really impresses recruiters of a good company because they understand that you are capable of conversing your ideas, and you're capable of implementing the changes you talk about, and converse with lots of people. It helps you meet great people and mentors. I must say, this is a really main point I want to stress on. To be able to meet great people is the time, I mean, the type of people who you surround yourself with, right, is the only thing that defines you. The more great people you surround yourself with, the more higher your aims will be, and the more you'll be expanding your horizon. It gave me a better understanding of software design, and it gave me different philosophies of understanding. It gave me lots of opportunities to go wherever I want. And then the second thing I want, like, the thing is, whenever someone asks me why should I contribute to open source, the only question comes is why not? I mean, if a person with no experience like me, with no programming experience, and who suffered with these massive complexes, could reap the benefits of open source, then you folks who are, I mean, say, who are much more better placed than I was, could do much more greater. I mean, why not contribute to open source, folks? I mean, this might or might not work. This, I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? Might not work. Okay, you lose only like 3 months, but what? 3 months is nothing in a grander scale of life. I mean, you should take the risk, take the leap of faith, go ahead, give it a try, and reap the benefits that you are going to get it. Open source software is, as one of my friends put it, is a different way of life. You meet people, you feel connected to them. I mean, it is something I can't express, but you feel connected to them, and that blooms inside you. I don't know how can I put it, but I really, really, really hope that you should go ahead and give it a try. There's no harm that's going to happen. Or Max will be losing only like what, 3 months? That's all, nothing else. So, yep. And once we are done, so the slide, and that's it, I would say. uh, Thank you for listening to the talk. I'll be there if you have any questions. I could answer on the what do you say, chat. You might just ask me questions there, and I could answer them if you have any questions. Thank you a lot. But I really hope you do give open source software a try, because I know you are going to love it. So I'm open for question, folks. You have any questions? Okay, I read the comment less. I think the screen was not full screen. But I'll share my slides if anyone needs it. I don't think. Okay. Okay, so there was one question where he asked about, can you talk about your time with the Linux Foundation? Okay, so I did an internship with a project called as Open Mainframe Project. It's a sub organization which comes under Linux Foundation. The process is very similar to what Google Summer of Code is. You submit a proposal and then you get selected. But I would like to rather tell you or point to you that open mainframe software is mostly related to mainframe computers, and you'll have variety of projects. I dealt with assembly level programming, but I've seen projects where you can deal with web programming or Docker based or their DevOps and stuff. I mean, you can just go on the Google and search for Open Mainframe Project internship, and you'll get there. I must say the experience is a little different than what GSOC is, and it totally depends on mentor. And it totally depends on the mentor. The better mentor you get, the more you'll be learning. But it's mostly a self-learn internship. Unlike GSOC, where you have a bigger community, this open mainframe does not have a bigger community. It's like a separate parts where different mentors come and suggest their projects, and you see them and talk about them. Did I answer the question, Kunal? If not, just let me know. I might clarify it. Okay, open source images are very big. How do you suggest? Okay, so there are two questions. One is open source communities are not very beginner friendly. How do you suggest we go about it? That's not actually true, Mayur. Open source communities are really beginner friendly. The only thing is you need to search for them. I must also agree that there were lots of open source communities I joined where I couldn't understand anything, but they are open source communities which are friendly, and there are other open source communities which require your knowledge. I think I have a sheet somewhere, but the only thing how you're about to find out how your open source community is friendly is you join the chat channel, you hang around the chat channel for say like 1 day, and but if you're impatient, you can directly paste them in the chat channel, type in the chat channel saying that you're interested in open source and would like to contribute and you're a beginner. And once you paste it, and you can even tell your experience level. If the open source community feels that you're not fitted for the community, they'll say sorry. But if you are fitted, they'll directly guide you to the newcomer documentation page, and then you can start. But that's totally not true. Ki open source organizations are not beginner friendly. They are very beginner friendly. I started open source organization and contributing to open source organization when I knew nothing, right? So I must say there are lots of open source organizations which are friendly. For example, that I can get into mind, it's like Aussie, and I'm not being biased, but okay, I'm not able to remember it. Maybe I'll just type in the comment later, but they are friendly. I'll just let you know. I mean, I'll just let you know the list that I know they're friendly. Second question is, where can one start? Okay, so where can one start contributing to open source is a rather vast topic, but I'll say the best way where any person could start is to find an organization you would like to contribute to. And the best place you could find an organization you would like to contribute to is the GSOC page. Just go to summer of code with google.com and search for organizations. All the organizations present there, this also answers your question, Mayur. All the organizations are present in the GSOC page are really beginner friendly, and then expect no knowledge out of you. they're going to they are going to help you with it. So just go to summer of code, summer with google.com, I guess. Just search for Google summer of code page, and then go to the organizations tab, and then you get a wide variety of list of organizations segregated into various categories. Just select which one you like, and you can start your contribution. And then how do we select a company or project which we can solve issues in? Okay, Diksha, the process of selecting a company or project, I say, is select an organization whose vibe you match with. Because once you select an organization, you're supposed to feel the connection with the project, right? So when you go to the GSOC page, they give a description of what the community is and what they want to do. So if you feel that you want to do something to the project, then take on. Don't take an organization where you feel that it's easy, so I'll start doing it. Take an organization where you feel that you seriously believe in the project. So take such organizations, because the reason, if you take organizations are easy, you lose interest very quickly, and that's not the uh, charisma of open source. We want you to come here and become a part of a bigger thing. So I think that answers. What do you think is the best strategy to explore and understand large code bases? That has always been the largest barrier for me. Okay, so everyone has different strategies, Atharva, but the strategy I started with was using print statements to debug. Okay, that's laughable, but that's one of the main what do you say, the one of the main techniques that most of the developers actually use. So I say just start with print statements. What I do is I most of the programs, when you run it or build it and try running it, you keep getting the incoming logs in the terminal, right? So put a print statement wherever you want to stop it, so you start understanding, okay, so this is a place where the process started. Then okay, to give it a bigger understanding, say suppose, okay. So suppose you have a two files and there are lots of functions. What I usually do is put a print statement in each function, and when the program executes, I see the terminal, and then I start to find which message came first. That will try to give me an idea of which function came first, and from there I start to build this tree of how each function is related to each other. So the best way to start would be to use print statements, and it takes time, but you will slowly and slowly figure out within a week how each component is connected to each other. Okay, so can you, Sri Harshri, ask a question? Can you give some guidelines regarding how the second year student needs to work to get selected for GSA 2021? Okay, so the guidelines would be simple, rather 4 points, or I mean that might need a the talk or something, but I'll just try to be very brief about it. The guidelines would be: first, select an organization. That's the main important point. Go to the GSOC page, search for the organization, and then see the organization whose skill you match with. So there are lots of organizations which has only Python, which has JavaScript, which has Haskell, which has C++, which has Java, and so on and so forth. Spend a day or two skimming through all the organizations and make a list. That's what I did. I made a list. Okay, second time that's what I did. First time I just selected. Okay, so sorry, sidetracked. So make a list and see which organization suits to your current skill level. And if it suits your skill level, join the channel, hang around, introduce yourself, and literally tell them that I'm a beginner and I would like to start. Most of the organizations have this newcomer page where they tell you how to set up the system and what are the good issues to start with. Once you take the issue, keep troubling the mentor or the maintainer, whoever is in the channel, saying that you want to get started and start with a single issue. Don't think of larger thing of how everything is going to happen. Start with something small and it keeps growing. So the process is select the organization, introduce yourself, find the beginner issue, and start solving it. Nothing else. Okay, a bit of plug, but if looking for local and friendly open source communities, okay, yep, yep. Atharva also wants to say that, or I'd rather mention that whoever is interested in open source communities, PS also has an open source community, and like you could just contact Atharva in the chat, and he'll guide you. Okay, so Siddharth Rao asked, can you talk about the experience in working with Haskell and Asura? Okay, I'd like to talk about, but that's not the agenda of the topic. But to be honest, Haskell takes a little time to get used to. It's a functional programming language, and the paradigm is entirely different. But it takes about 2 to 3 months. Once you understand it, it's really a great language. And Hasura, if I must say, it's really the organization which I was looking to. It kind of ticked all the things that I wanted from an organization that I wanted to work with. So I must say, it's really nice. Okay, did I miss any questions? I guess that's it. Oh, so do you folks have any more questions? Nothing else? Okay. I'm still on. I'll be waiting, there's no problem. If you have any more questions. Any tips for writing the proposal for GSOC? Okay, so I say be as descriptive as you can be. It depends again from organization to organization. The only tip to write a proposal is think of it um, as a paper that you write, or how do I explain it? Okay, think of it as an answer that you write to a question when someone asks you how do you want to implement it. So you basically start with an introduction, then you write an overview, then you explain how you want to implement it, and then and then okay, where was I? Yep, yeah, you write an introduction, you write an overview, you write how you're going to solve each component, and then you give a timeline of how you're going to do it. But Diksha, you can find lots of tips, or there'll be better people who could explain about how to write a proposal, because it takes a little time, but it takes lots of refinements as well, and mentors will help you. But there are lots of people who could explain much better than me. You can just search it. But that's what the tips I could give you. When this money starts coming in, uh, I don't understand the question actually. Does it mean we when does the stipend start coming in, or when does the money comes in after you join open source? I think it's when does the money come in after you join open source software. So it depends how you're going to look at it, right? So I started with GSOC as a goal, so I looked at that thing. But there are various avenues of making money with open source. One of the first thing would be to participate in the GSOC internship or any other internship that's out there. And once you participated, that's where the money starts coming in. Through open source internships as a student, that's the best way for you to start getting the money in. uh, join as many open source internships as you can, and the money comes from there. But once you graduate, you can eventually join open source organization like I did, and make it your day-to-day work. Okay, the salary. Okay, the GSOC stipend, if I must say, it depends from country to country. But for India, if I'm not wrong, it's 3,000 USD. That's equivalent to 2.2 lakhs, I can say. And then for the OpenMint project, which I did, the stipend is 6,000 USD, which is equivalent to 4 lakhs. And then there are other programs such as MLS Fellowship and Linux kernel mentorship, which BK Karthik will be really better person to talk about. So the salaries, depending on the program you take, it entirely depends. So GSOC it's 3,000 USD. For Open Mainframe it's 6,000 USD, and for Linux kernel mentorship also it's like 3,000 USD. Yes, yes. And okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so any more question, folks? If you have any more doubts, you can actually contact me on Telegram. If you're not able to contact me now, it should be on the slide during the last few minutes. Okay, will they give project ideas, or should we make project ideas and they select based on that? They totally give you the project ideas, and you're also welcome to make the project ideas. So if you're confused, like one of the mistake that I did when I was looking for GSOC was directly jump into the idea page and look at the ideas, which made no sense to me. Literally, they made no sense to me because they require you to understand the jargon of the software systems, and that you get if you spend like 2 to 3 weeks in the organization. So yes, they do give ideas to you, and you're supposed to explain how you're going to solve it, or rather write a document on what are the steps, like abstract steps that you want to take in, and you're also welcome to give them the ideas. But when you do give them the ideas, do contact the maintainer of the organization and do let them know. But don't you worry much about ideas. You'll start making sense once you start solving issues for the code base. Okay. And any more questions? If you're not comfortable asking question in the live chat, you can also contact me on Telegram. That's no issue. I'll try to reply as soon as I can. Okay, so the question came again. Any list of friendly communities? Okay, so let me just think. Okay, just give me a second. Just means open the page that will revive my memory. Okay, bear with me here. Okay, so I'll be going through the code. Okay, so the question is easy communities to start with. So this is entirely based, I'll just be giving the disclaimer. This is entirely based on what I had communication with my friends or what I have read. This does not in any way mean that other organizations are not friendly. So one of the organizations which one of my friend Ayush also worked on was about code, which is really easy and like it's really friendly. You can get started with it, and then you have LibreOffice, which another of my friend Shivansh worked on, and as per him, it's friendly and you can start talking with him. The people are really cool there. And then unfortunately, Coala is no more the organization which I was participating in. The maintenance got busy, so it's a little inactive now. And then you have okay, okay, you have. It's just I don't remember much. Oh, yep. You have Pitwi, and then you have Zulip. Then you have Sugar Labs. Sugar Labs is pretty friendly, and it does not require you much knowledge to get started with. And then you also have mm, okay, Mozilla, tons of project and lots of people are ready to help. Yep, I told LibreOffice. Then you have Godot engine. Okay, that's all I can remember of. Yep. This other thing called a checker framework at Chapel and CC extractor development. These are things that I know are friendly. You can get started with it. Or there's this page which I'll share. Okay, how do I share it? Uh, Okay, if you just search for newcomer friendly organizations, you usually get lots of organizations which tell about which organizations are really good. Oh, before I forget, there's something called as Hacktoberfest coming in the next month, and that might be a really good way for you to get started with open source organizations, and you also get a chance to win a free T-shirt. I don't know if they are supplying this during this pandemic, but that's a really good way for you to get started and get to the grips of how the process workflow happens in open source softwares. I'm not currently finding the list, but when I do, I'll okay. I just found it. I think I can. Okay, I'll just paste in the comment. Okay, I'm not able to paste. We'll just ask them. Uh, okay then. Was not able to paste it, so I'll paste it later. But yep. So I guess that's it for today's talk, folks. And okay, so I'll answer the one final questions of how do you handle GSOC along with studies, and then we'll wrap it up. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to contact me on Telegram. So how do you handle GSOC along with studies? So okay, I don't know if I can say or not. I bunked a tons of classes. I really bunked, and I'm not advertising you to bunk classes, but I did bunk lots of classes, and luckily I had lots of friends who gave me proxy. Uh, but I don't suggest you to bunk lots of classes. But I must say it's entirely possible to handle both studies as well as your attendance and as well as GSOC, because I was able to handle two internships along with studies, right? So it's easy. The only way you can do is attend the colleges in the morning and code away in the night. That's what I did. So it's not hard, neither it's not unachievable. Lots of us did, and lots of people who are now in the college did, so you can do it too. So it's not hard at all. It just takes a set of mind to get started with. Okay, so that's it for now, and I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you everyone for coming and watching it and giving me your time. Yep. Thank you everyone. Bye bye. Take care, and do contact me on Telegram if you have any problems. Yep. Bye.